As the White House grapples with the internet's role, the question right now in fighting ISIS's recruitment efforts online is, do we have to sacrifice freedom of speech to fight ISIS online? Lieutenant Colonel and former Congressman Allen West says no, we can actually do both. We're also joined by Zuhdi Jasser. He is also here. He's the founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. First to you, Zuhdi, I have to begin by asking at first glance, what does this police attack in Philadelphia look like to you? He was wearing Muslim garb, and he has told police allegedly that he supports Allah and the fight for ISIS.
Well, Liz, clearly, I mean, we're going to find some of the same pattern that we think is always isolated. I mean, I pray that I'm not going to hear the term lone wolf from experts, because these are not lone wolves. They're part of the same Islamo-patriotic movement, Islamo-nationalists, those that believe that they are in a war against the West and they belong to the Islamic State mentality. It's a virus of an ideology that's spreading around the planet. And ultimately, it's the same thing we saw in the attack in the Ottawa Parliament against a soldier there, the attack that beheaded Lee Rigby in London, the attack on Chattanooga, where that shooter 2 days before, Abdulaziz, wrote on the internet a web posting that he wanted to establish Islam. You know, listen, folks, it's the same pathology, and we Muslims need to wake up to counter political Islam, the ideology that demonizes the West and wants to establish not only ISIS, but any Islamic State. And until our social media folks, our White House, our government, our Homeland Security start focusing on that ideology, which is, I hope, what they're doing in Silicon Valley, like you said, it's going to continue to be a whack-a-mole program.
Well, I think that those are excellent points. And Lieutenant Colonel, you talk about, let's just say that this suspect, Archer, had no contact with anybody from ISIS. He could still go online. And that is what the meeting with the White House and the Silicon Valley executives is about today. And everybody knows that this country is based on freedom of speech. Can we have both? Can we have freedom of speech, but also shut down this hate that is actually giving people a primer on exactly how to make suicide vests and to shoot police officers?
Well, Liz, it's a pleasure to be with you, and also with Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. And as Dr. Jasser said, it takes the will of our leadership to be able to identify this ideological enemy and to start looking at seditious speech and seditious actions that you see across the internet. I'm hoping that what is going on out in Silicon Valley is not just a photo op, although Carly Fiorina has been talking about working with them. But think about what has happened in this week. You have seen this video about a ISIS university for bomb making. We found out today that in a police raid in Belgium that they had a bomb making factory there. On the anniversary of Charlie Hebdo, you had the attack of a Paris police station. Today we had 2 people arrested in Sacramento and Houston on charges of supporting Islamic terrorism. You know what just happened today in Philadelphia, well, last night actually. Yeah. But yet, what is the response of the president? He is releasing people from Guantanamo Bay, and his answer to the terrorist attack in San Bernardino was gun control. So you have a total disconnect.
Well, and you know, we can show that video again because it is out there of showing, Zuhdi, exactly how to make a bomb. And, you know, you look at what happened in San Bernardino. They basically had a pipe bomb factory in their garage. And you can look on the web and see this. And this goes back to everything from, you know, the Columbine shootings, where there was a lot online, too. It is a very, very tenuous line and a very, very scary tightrope to walk, where you don't want to shut down free speech. But, you know, Lieutenant Colonel mentioned the word seditious. You know, maybe we need to be actually deciding, and I don't know who the decider becomes. You've been you've been at the force of this. What do we do?
Well, I think we need to be careful on one thing, which is, I completely agree with the Colonel that speech that advocates violence, imminent acts of violence, just as our Supreme Court ruled in Bradbury versus Ohio, that if they're preaching violence, it needs to be shut down, bomb making, etc., that's not free speech. But if they're preaching things that may sound seditious, that may sound anti-American, anti-Semitic, we can better monitor that by giving them the freedom to do that, as we do with the Nazi Party, the Communist Party, and others. Countries that push these types of ideas underground, it might give us a short-term solution, but long-term, as Tajikistan and others have shown, it actually causes them to fuel, and you can't monitor them anymore, which is why Europe, which has hate speech laws, has much bigger problem with radical Islam, because it's much more difficult to monitor when you push them underground. Well, so I think we have to navigate. Yeah.
That's a great point. I mean, people are arrested here if they spray paint a swastika on a synagogue, or they do something that it's hate, and that those are hate crimes. So if we have violence that is inspired by these kinds of videos, I certainly think that matters. Congressman, Lieutenant Colonel, because you wear both hats, I have to ask you, because our markets have gyrated, and this matters to voters and it matters to citizens here. When a news headline like this hits, compiling that with what's going on in China and the market frazzle action there, does that weigh on an investor or a citizen's mind to say, I just want to almost shut down at this moment, or even people who hire and companies that grow?
Well, you're absolutely right. You consider what happened in the aftermath of the terrorist attacks of 9/11, and there can be no doubt that your economic security is related to your national security. And if people feel safe and secure, they are going out and they're investing money, they're getting to work, and they're doing things, they're spending money. But right now, there is an incredible anxiety in the United States of America of people wondering, can I go out to the mall? Can I be safe? And when you hear the focus or the agenda of the White House and the President of the United States of America is not about identifying this enemy ideologically and coming up with the policies and the solutions which keep the American people safe and provide them a real sense of security, then you see these type of reactions in the market as well.
Well, America's stronger than all of this, I have to believe, because I just came from the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, where people are creating all kinds of technology and moving forward with great innovative ideas. So we have to believe in that American entrepreneurial spirit. Colonel Allen West, Zuhdi Jasser, thank you. You may want to stay and listen to what's going on right now. We've got some breaking news. Peter Barnes is at the White House. He has now, I guess, Peter, the breaking news of what's coming out of that Silicon Valley meeting.
Yeah, that's right, Liz. We're not 100% sure that this is officially related to this meeting in Silicon Valley, but the White House just announcing that it is establishing a government task force called the Countering Violent Extremism Task Force with the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and with assistance from the State Department to bring in our international partners who are also trying to fight terrorism. And this is, according to officials, going to be a kind of a centralized operation to help fight with anti-terrorism communications, you know, with the propaganda from the good guys, if you will, who want to fight terrorism. And so the administration setting this up today, announcing it, timed to this meeting in Silicon Valley, Liz.
All right. You know what? I think Lieutenant Colonel West and Zuhdi are still with us right now. Gentlemen, what do you think about this?
Yeah,
Zuhdi?
can I, you know, Liz, it's amazing to me. We're still talking about CVE, countering violent extremism. What is that? It should be countering violent Islamism. And as long as they're being politically correct and they want to lump in all extremists, we have made no progress. I don't care what the details are. Until this administration calls it violent Islamism, it is a waste of taxpayers' money, and the whack-a-mole program will continue.
Lieutenant Colonel, what do you think? I mean, look, the government is making an effort, certainly here. Let's not say that they're at least completely intransigent.
Well, again, having been in Washington, D.C., this is the facade of doing something but actually doing nothing. The creation of another government task force. We already have task forces.
What should we be doing? Forget the task force. I agree with you. Too many studies, too many task forces, silos, doubling up on, and repeating things. It's stupid. So what should we be doing?
Well, first and foremost, you have seen the hacker group Anonymous do an incredible job against ISIS on the internet and hacking into their systems. Let's team up with Anonymous and see some of the things that they've been doing and see how we can better exploit that. But again, we need to shut down, you know, the Inspire magazine. We need to do, as Zuhdi Jasser said, stop with the countering violent extremism. We hear the people on the left say that, you know, Christian extremism, right-wing extremism, that's a big net that they're throwing out there. You need to focus on this ideological enemy, and it's not just ISIS, it's these groups.
Gentlemen, both, thank you so much.